Welcome to the Occult Rejects. This episode, I got a very exciting guest for us. We're going to be talking about Ogham. Oh, I already screwed it up. Ogham. Divining in the Celtic Way with Jane Matthews. Very interesting deck. It's a 25 card deck. Well, we'll get into it. It's not your typical tarot, and I find it very interesting, and I wanted to know what is up with this. And I've been lucky enough to get the lady on to come and talk about it. So before we introduce her, though, let me introduce the other rejects that are with us. And we got the loon with us again. Judith, what is going on? How are you? Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm the Loon. You can catch me on YouTube and on X as the Loon. And this week, which is today's my usually weekly brunch, is going to be a little bit later due to this, but that's okay. No, that's okay because it actually falls in line with my subject matter, which is going to be reclaiming your spirituality. So thank you for having me, and I'm very excited about this, Jane.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for making time, Judith. I really appreciate it. And we got my man, Brandon Magus in the media. What is going on, sir? Thank you very much for being able to make it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you as always, Nick. It's always lovely to be on the Occult Rejects. Hello, Jane. I'm excited for the wonderful conversation. I get to learn a lot of things I don't know about, so we're going to get into it. Make sure everyone goes over to Magus in the Media on YouTube. That's where we're breaking down all things esoteric, philosophical, mythological, and anything that comes out of this mind of mine. Yeah, check it out. Like, subscribe, and share. Go to my X. That's where I get a little more crazy. Try to call out charlatans and sophists, as well as my Instagram, where I'm just uploading all the things and we can talk. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much again for joining us, sir. And like I had said earlier, we have Jane Matthews on with us. She's a divination teacher, a director of the World Divination Association, and we're going to be talking about her new deck and book. She has been teaching and working with divination systems for years, including runes, tarot, sigil work, and mediumship, and she's particularly known for her work with structured symbolic systems rather than intuitive-only reading. Her background in runes is important here because it shapes how she approaches Ogham, not as a loose set of meetings, but as an alphabet with runes its context. Again, I'm very excited to have her on, and please, Jane, let everybody know where they can find any of your work or whatever you'd like to promote. Let everybody know, please.
Well, you can find me on Instagram on Jane Matthews Medium and on Facebook. You can also find me on worlddivination.com, where we teach a whole heap of different courses. And yes, runes and Ogham, the alphabet-based systems, are something that I find really profoundly insightful. And I'm lucky enough to be based in Northern Ireland. There's real Ogham stones, actually carvings, about 15 minutes drive from where I am, and I've been blessed enough to place my hands upon them. But where I originally come from, Cumbria, has got a really rich history with regards to both runes, the Elder Futhark runes in particular. There's a really strong Norse element within the county, and also Celtic. It is originally, many years ago, Cumbria was actually a kingdom within its own right, much like Wales, Scotland and Ireland, and we had our own language too. And our Cumbrian language was actually closely linked to the Welsh language back in the day. Unfortunately, we don't really still have ours now, but there's a lot of Celtic traditions, should I say, or history with regards to Cumbria in itself. So yeah, it's kind of the runes, the Norse elements, like a Viking sword got dug up in a back garden in my hometown. There's lots of Roman things. The Romans actually brought, incorporated, shall we say, a lot of the Celtic gods. So the Celtic god Lu was actually honoured in Roman times in Carlisle, our city, and it was called Lugavelium. So there is kind of the crossovers between Celtic and Roman history over in the UK, well, in particularly in Cumbria, and with the and I would suggest more. It's more not so much Danes as Vikings, but it was more Norwegian and things like that actually came across to Cumbria at that time. So it's quite a rich background that really pulled me into those systems, into understanding them more, because fundamentally everything kind of connects together.
That's awesome. So I mean, like, you really have like firsthand experience with this stuff. I mean, you've seen the things in front of you. That's like
I have. and it's incredible. I mean, there's places in Cumbria that actually have big, in the churchyard, you've got the big crosses. But one in particular actually is carved with runic inscriptions, and it has the Christian cross upon it too. So you can see you actually witness kind of the merge of Christianity, shall we say, kind of blending with paganism and actually being brought into that one, which, considering today, it's the first day of Imbolc, it's St. Bridget's Day. Bridget, we all tie our things outside the doors. We make braids. I don't think I have mine here with me. Oh, yeah, I do. So we make little braids of cloth. I plaited mine. And what we do is we actually charge them up outside every year in Imbolc. And they actually, if you feel like you've got flu or the cold or you just need, and you hold these, and these are actually, they've got that healing property from Bridget in. But when you think about Bridget as the pagan goddess, and then Saint Bridget, being incorporated within that as a Christian figure, as a saint, you can see how actually Christianity incorporated paganism in some degrees to actually really kind of, I would say, open up more to bringing people into Christianity and moving away from. So it was done in a very subtle way, I believe, but I'm not an expert on that.
That's awesome. Did any of you want to say anything or ask anything before I keep going? All right, just making sure. So what got you? This is a typical question I asked the guests right away. What got you into, like, I guess, when did you realize this stuff was for you? Like, what got you into the occult, I guess? Do you remember, were you younger?
I think I've always been, and I say this to a lot of my students, I say to everyone, I've always been one of these people that my friends from a young age will be asking me things. I'd be able to tell them what was going to happen before it actually happened. So some of my friends really thought it was great, because if they were dating a new guy, for example, and they were wanting to know how things were going, I'd actually be able to tell them what was going to be said before that actually came out of their mouths. So for that reason, that kind of, that was the beginning, I would suggest, of my mediumship. I had a lot of like prophetic dreams and things like that, but I was seeing symbology everywhere. So with that, I kind of delved further within myself, because I was seeing different symbols or sigils, because I also have a deck called Sigils out that was published by Red Feather in 2023, and they were sigils that I was actually seeing myself. So I was actually I was sitting with them, seeing how they feel, working with them, and they were really good at manifesting things. I found that I really like energy. I don't consider myself to be a witch or anything like that. I just have an awareness that everything's energy, and it's how we interact with it. And the way that we choose to flow with it depends on, you can bring a lot of things forth from that. So I really it took me on a journey, understanding the symbolism within myself with that, understanding truly what I am, who I am, what motivates me. And with the systems, they were quite profound, because what I really love about Ogham and what I really love about runes is that, first and foremost, an alphabet. It's an alphabet. So it is the Ogham in itself is the original, the first Irish alphabet. And that in itself is quite profound, as just in its essence. And on the back of the cards, that is actually the word Ogham written in Ogham. So what you're seeing written there, because they used to write upwards, what you're actually seeing written is in the earliest version of written Irish, which, I think is rather incredible. And I think it's important to kind of keep these things alive, as time's changing and people's changing and the world changes, we all seek to understand. And I think sometimes going right back to the fundamentals actually brings you a more profound insight. And this, with regards to Ogham, I really do feel like it has got such a wealth of information about it, and it is a system that is incredibly deep, and fundamentally it comes from you understanding you. It puts you at the center of your universe. because you're the only person that is experiencing your life, this life, as you. So if you're, I know it sounds really, it's against spiritual concepts, isn't it? You know, you're the center of your universe, because that sounds very egotistical and we're not meant to look at ourselves in such a self-centered way. But Ogham, actually, it's essential, because those first 20 letters, those feather, that's the word for letters in Irish, the feather. And then they incorporated those, and each of those had a meaning to them. From that, then they brought in the four feather, which is the after trees. And the after trees, after trees, like the four feather literally translates to additional letters or after trees. And how I kind of, work with it is those first 20 letters take you on an immense kind of journey within yourself, because you're understanding you and your place in the universe. So you're understanding you from a perspective of your life, yourself, everything that drives you, every question and every truth, every insight, everything about everything. And by understanding your own self, and it's only through understanding yourself that you can truly then begin to understand all else that's going on around you. So that's where the kind of the actual forfeit of those additional letters, I use them more as a point of showing you more of a universal rather than an insular self in that way. But it was essentially used as more than just an alphabet, but it was a talisman system. It was something that allowed you to kind of make sense of the world. It does have, attributes with the trees. So you see a lot of people mention Ogham with regards to specific trees and the trees of Ogham, which all bring a profound insight with them. It merges with the mythology because of the stories, and that is very similar in some degrees to the Elder Futhark runes, which was what really kind of pulled me, because Ogham comes out in the 4th century, but you've got the Elder Futhark runes are about between the 2nd and the 8th century. So they're coming about in the same kind of time period, roughly.
Real quick, just because you're bringing this up now and somebody asked in the chat, do you think these things might be older than the date that they actually kind of agree on?
I do, because I think actually, in all honesty, when you're looking at anything, yes, I think there might be earlier, but we haven't got actual earlier evidence of it. It's like anything else, really. And things kind of get lost in translation along the ways with things. But I think with regard to Ogham, it's been kind of kept and honoured, druids, bards, all of these kinds of people, anybody into shamanism and things, seek to understand the wisdom of the trees, speak to the trees to gain that insight in themselves. Whereas I kind of take that different tact in that sense, because for me, the trees are a beautiful addition to an alphabet. They're a beautiful the way to attribute qualities to things. But when it comes to actually, looking at it as a system for divination, I don't believe that purely just addressing it by the trees does it the justice in which it deserves, because it is far more. Each meaning has the duality. It's both light and it's dark. And that's the duality within all of us. Every single few, shall we say. So in Ogham, you have 4 feather. That's so 4 views. And the 4 views, I'll see if I can get different cards. So they've got ones for different colours. So each colour of these is a different acme. So acme is family. So in Ogham, there's 4 families, and every family has its own set of 5. And as you can see, they kind of look all similar, lines 1 to 5, but they're all in just a different direction. So actually, when you're looking at it as within that, you can, and working through that, it's much like the 8s, but very different at the same time, because the 8s in the Elder Futhark, you've got Freya's 8, Heimdall's 8, Tia's 8, and they all look at different aspects. So, you've got the aspect of self and what you're raising and what you're nourishing. Heimdall's 8's all about kind of others and those external things that go on in your life and things like that. And then you've got Tia's 8, which is about that great good. It's more humanitarian. It's, bringing it in its roundup with that. So when looking at the actual Oham's got 4 families, not 3, but those 4 families are very kind of, they bring it on cycles within each one, culminating in that last few of the 20 of the Feda, which is Edad. And that basically is like death, it's transition, it's a major transformation, it's a gateway into opening a whole new way of being. And for me, I look at Ogham as all the other families take you on a journey, take you on a cycle up until a culmination. But you can put it as simply as you're thinking about doing something for work, for example, or you've got trying to come up with an idea for something. You've got to go through that cycle of, this is why am I doing it? I've got this idea, but why am I doing it? You know, is it because others want me to, or is it not? You know, what is it that's pushing me for this? And then actually shifting through that, like fundamentally looking at the principles of everything, and as you know, is this honouring me more than anything else? Is this how it is? Is this the truth? Is this still my truth? Is this going to allow me to still continue to grow? Then trying to blend your intuition with what your mind's telling you, like it's not going to work, wrong colour. No, it will work. You've got to pick the right, you know, for different things. And then you're ultimately ending up in that first family of Nin, where it's kind of like an evaluation. You've been through it all, you're kind of weighing it up. Would you do it again? Would you change anything? You know, we all do that on different days. I do that doing my washing and the house, you know, housework. So that's just like literally as practical as what you can make them. And what I hope to do, or what I'm trying to do, is to make divination like very accessible to all in a very practical way that we can still identify in our lives today, because we're a lot different than what we were. Sorry, I've prattled on there.
No, that's brilliant.
Good, right. Do any of you have any questions?
Yeah, I was wondering, what do you think? So the Celtic ruins look a lot different, obviously, than the Norse ruins and the Icelandic ruins, and so it's fascinating to think, and you know, the integration of the trees and the tree language and the tree myth. Do you think those ruins? I mean, they look like rootings of trees, is kind of what I'm getting at. Do you think there's anything to do with that, with the symbology and sigilism of the Celtic ruins?
I think how it was used, the trees were added as a way to kind of better memorize things, so better memorize quality and groupings of things or people or objects, you know, groupings of anything. So it was a way of kind of like attributing a quick knowing, you could attribute something within it, which is absolutely, you know, and there is a real beauty with regards to that. The trees themselves as well, when you think about the individual ones, I mentioned Huath in particular in the start of my book. And it's the hawthorn tree is Huath. And the hawthorn tree is the portal. Now you think about Ogham, and they look at things, you know, they have the cycle of rebirths and reincarnations and moving around, and it's that everything's a cycle. And when you're looking at them in that way, you can see how everything's meant to be applicable, or should we say entered through portals on this world. So on this earth right now, here where I am in Ireland, I've got 7 hawthorn trees in the garden, and they're the portals to the other realms, so to speak. You've got the, you know, farther sky, you've got the sky, the upper world, and then you've got the earth below you. And actually the gatekeepers, shall we call it, are the Tuatha Dé Danann, which you'd be looking at like the fae kind of thing. So you talk going into like fairy magic and all the different elements within that. And there's some people that are absolutely amazing storytellers with regards to Celtic mythology. Unfortunately, I'm not the best of these fortune speaking that with that, because it just kind of can't do it justice, I don't suppose, in the ways in which they can. It's very poetic.
Have you ever read Robert Graves' The White Goddess?
I haven't, no.
I highly recommend looking into that. He does a lot of Celtic mythological folklore writing of those things, and so his integration of language and tree mythos, and he just really represents it as like a living, breathing system, which is quite beautiful. And so that's something to. Yeah.
Well, John Paul Patton actually wrote an incredible book, and he actually links Ogham to like I Ching, the harp Kabbalah. I mean, if you want to look around all different roots of music notes and everything like that, that book, it's about this.
Cool.
And it really does bring in so much different kind of perspectives, and you see just how actually interlinked everything is with one another, really. With regards to kind of spirituality and divination. It all does connect. It's just, I suppose we have so many because there's a way to connect everybody, isn't there? There's a way of honoring all within that. And I think that's a beautiful thing about it.
Yeah. It's we always it's, I don't know if it's forgotten or it's easily shadowed over as just we're all trying to understand our own nervous system depending upon what our placement on the planet. And so there's this interconnection of the unconscious mind trying to understand itself through these sigils and runes and things like that in the Celtic Ogham. Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one, especially when you're trying to walk through portals and, into these different realms of the imaginal, so to speak.
I think it's beautiful because of the ways in which you can connect. And it shows that there is, there's so many different elements. And when you look at like systems around the world, they all have a method and a means to actually connect to the universe, to spirit, to whatever God or deity, that is at the time. And I think that is something that's really, it's beautiful and it's something that should be preserved. I think we do forget our place in the universe and the simplicity of that. And what I mean is we're really nothing, are we, on the grand scheme of things, of everything that's going on around and, in the universe at large. We're like a speck. And when we understand how insignificant we are within that, it can be quite humbling, but at the same time, it opens you up to really seeing the beauty of everything and all around. I think there's a tremendous amount of insight you can gain just by being at peace with yourself, at one with yourself, and actually sitting in nature, allowing things to come to you. I mean, literally, when you sit outside and you have a conversation with the universe, you'll get your answer. The wind will shift, the trees will flutter, you'll hear the birds will come. There's all different signs, and those are absolute. That is magic. See, to me, that is magic. That's true magic. And it's not about, where you've learned it or how you've learned it. It's magic, in its essence, is something that's deeply personal to every single one who practices it. It's finding your own magic, isn't it? More than anything, and working with that. And I think, the ways in which you can use divination as a tool to kind of put that fuel about your own magic, finding the magic, finding your own through the magic of other things, and finding the magic in everything around you. I think, I don't think I'll ever stop wanting to learn divination systems because I find them all really, really interesting in their own ways, and they all bring something different to the table. Runes are an energy. The Elder Futhark runes, they are very, when you read with those, they command. They're very commanding in the way that they speak. Their energy is strong. You feel it. You have every one of those energies is within us. It's like Tony often says, universe in a bag of runes. You class the runes as the universe. The answers to the universe are in a bag. But also within that, the energy of those runes are actually infused within us. And when we hold them, when we read them, they're singing their songs. They're a language, and that language speaks like we speak. We have dialect. My tone will go up and down. The runes will sing their song to me. Ogham has a different dialect, a different tune. Tarot has its own song, its own theme, its own tune. And I think looking at them in that essence of magic and music, it's about finding things that actually, the energy with them I advise everybody to actually, with regards like runes or Ogham, take one a day at a time, hold it, feel its energy, but don't just look at its meaning, think about what that is, think about what that feels, actually go through your day, and at the end of it, reflect back on about how has that energy actually interacted within you? How has it interacted within the world around? Through this as, you've got that kind of conflict, that assertion, you've got real self-control. When, you're going into something, you're maybe going to be arguing with your boss because you want a pay rise, or they've not paid you your bonus, or your money's not in the bank. That's through this as right there. It is that chaos. It is it's confrontational. It's conflict. You've got it in you. How are you going to work with that energy is entirely up to you, isn't it? It's all works in those beautiful ways. I feel it's something that's, it's within you. They're all energy, and it's about understanding what the energies bring, especially if you're looking at doing with regards to like bind runes and things like that, to manifest. you've got to understand that the energies that you're working with, you know, and ultimately when you're working with those energies, you've got to be focusing on how you're wanting those things to interact with one another. You know, some things can amplify, but some things can kind of resist as well. So it's about understanding the way that they all speak with one another.
I like that. That was awesome. Did anybody have any questions or want to say anything?
Yeah, I do completely agree. I think one of the things in this day and age is that everyone's so quick to go to a book to understand runes or the tarot and the cards, and this very tactile system, which is important because you have to integrate it into you. So you have to like let the cards or let the language kind of interact with you. And when it, just like anything else, it's like if you're already reading about it, then how do you know truly what the cards mean to you, even though there is an actual objective meaning to the cards or the runes? So I completely agree with you. It's like pick them up and interact with them like you would an intimate, you know, partner or something like that, because then it can unfold its meaning to you, and then you can add all the other things with it, and that's like true magic, right?
It really is, and I also see it as, and it doesn't matter if it's a person, a spirit, or a divination system that way, you're building a relationship with it. So you've got to put your effort in. You're trying to make a friend with someone. You can't, you've got to put effort into a friendship. You've got to put effort into a relationship in order for it to thrive and grow and last. You know, that's how things actually, you know, move through life, how you keep going. So you've got to build a relationship with your system. You've got to understand fundamentally how your system likes to communicate. The runes are very blunt, so they'll tell it how it is. If I need to be told how it is, I'll use runes. If I want to be gentler, like what you've been on at here, like, come on now, I know what you've been doing, but there's a better way of going about this. I would use Ogham. If I wanted something to completely annihilate me, for example, I would use like Lenormand. And the reason I say Lenormand is because Lenormand doesn't like me. It's a big as a system with me. So I get the 4 horses of an apocalypse when I ask for a daily read. So like, I know that ain't going to be my go-to. Like, nobody needs that in the morning, you know. So it's about kind of working with it and understanding how you can find the way, build your relationships, build your kind of relationships with all your systems, even with yourself, with spirit. You've got to build that effort. You've got to put it in, make time, chat with your guides, form that relationship, form that bond. It's only going to grow. You're only going to experience more when you start doing that. Sorry.
No. I don't apologize at all.
Yeah, we're all about you're here so we can hear exactly what you have to say. So no, that's we like here. They're not even rambles. You're connecting dots here for everybody. So this is beautiful, especially because we don't get, I don't know if this is true. I'm actually speaking for Nick here. Do we have a lot of Celtic poem? You know what I'm saying? Like dropping knowledge right now, Jane, is what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I don't really know much about this stuff at all. So I'm just totally.
I'm just trying to share what I love, and I'm very, very fortunate in that, like, I put my proposal in Wiser and Wiser Books wanted to publish me. I feel so kind of like honoured with regards to that, because I look at it as a privilege, and I look at it as I write things very matter-of-factly. So how I write and how I explain is very much, you know, how I'm speaking now. So I even go so far as in, you've got your meanings, but if it was for a relationship, it'd be this. If it was health, it would be this. If it was work, it would be this. I've basically broke it down in all the different ways, just so that it's not intimidating, because I think one of the fundamental things when it comes to people wanting to kind of grow in the spirituality, whether it's mediumship or divination or in any kind of, you know, spiritual threshold that way, it's about kind of like, you know, making it so that you can wrap your head around it, so that the kind of more practical you can put it, the more it's going to kind of click. And I always say to try and have fun as well with everything, because if you're not having fun, you're just going to be switched off, aren't you? You're going to bore yourself silly. So like, start having fun with your decks, start having fun with everything. Like, you don't need to be asking, I said last week, you don't need to ask for war and peace on your reading. You could be asking, like, you know, am I going to be smashing it on Call of Duty tonight, for example? I ask those kind of questions quite often. You know, it's what you got to do. And yes, Call of Duty doesn't sound very spiritual, but I actually really enjoy it. So, you know.
That's awesome. Nice. I think, yeah, I mean, to understand, I think like the war gods get a bum rap at times, because if you think about it, if you are having the ability to do it, and, you know, and it's a double-edged sword, but going on to Call of Duty could get, you know, can help alleviate some of that aggression that maybe needs to come out.
I think so, and I've got a lot of strong ancestors as well. Like, I think my earliest ancestors, so the earliest Matthews, was actually a James Matthews, and it was from like 1600 and something. But he was an actual Scottish Knight Templar, and he actually came from Scotland over to Ireland. So you can understand. I've got a lot of like kind of bits with fire here and there, like putting it in and making it go. So like, yeah, I would look at that as like, you know, Call of Duty is. People are frightened these days to be able to do anything that's considered dark, you know, shooting
Right.
people on the screen's not right, you know. Yes, I get that, but like I'm not shooting people, although now the armies and things are using Xbox controllers to train people in the Navy and stuff. They're using them as ways. But I look at it as more as when I'm focusing on that, I'm not focusing on anything else. And at that point when I'm kind of playing, I'll get other stuff popping in my head. And usually that's when I play well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. There's an old school movie called Toys with Robin Williams, and they actually show that was from like the 90s, and they show in that everyone should watch it. Yeah, so you get the differentiation between the old school toys from like old school toy shops in the 70s, 80s, and 90s where it was cute and quaint. And then you get the military industrial complex leading in like virtual reality video games. And the kids start playing that. And what the kids don't know is that they're actually manning real drones and things out there in the world. And that was done in the mid 90s. And so it just relates kind of to what you're saying is we don't, let alone the idea of magic is, you know, one of the ideas is being able to train the will to such a point. And what are you doing when you're playing a video game, if not just completely focusing all your energy on being able to man this avatar in a new world? So it's, I completely get what you're saying.
I tell you what, I can't have pretty nails though, because I can't stand the tapping of my thumbs on the screen. So I've got to have my nails short, which, you know, as a girl, chipping a nail's the worst thing ever, eh? It just is heartbreak.
That's hilarious. I keep short nails too. I do a lot of boxing and martial arts, so we're the same. I completely agree. That's
I would actually love to be doing like martial arts and things like that. I think like Tai Chi is something that's incredible, and watching that. I've been watching kind of like as I've been scrolling on TikTok recently, I've been getting like loads of Shaolin Kung Fu in different styles. I'm like, wow,
Nice.
This is like, it's actually, it's poetic in its essence and the ways in which they use their energy. But there was one in particular I'd seen, like Bruce Lee, and he was holding a glass of water on his toes with his leg outstretched. It's like, I'm not trying to control the glass, I'm controlling my foot. And then he just dropped his foot and caught the glass and then went, wow. And that was it. It was like, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that.
You can. You definitely can do that. That's hilarious.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, the colors on these cards, I would assume, what are they again? The 4 different colors?
So the 4 different colors are just literally to symbolize the 4 different acme, so that when you're actually looking at them, you can automatically kind of know your acme differently, so that you're not, because I think when you've got an alphabet that has a lot of the symbols, or should I say the lines within them, the strokes are all kind of the same. They all look very similar. So when you're learning at first and you're learning, it's one of 20 views. So one of 20 feather that you've got to learn. And it's like, well, which one is it? Which, you know, what's all these lines, so to speak? What letter is it? So I thought, well, if I actually broke it down and colored the cards per acme, then it's one of 20, which is it? It's one of 5. And then, you know, then you can actually kind of master how to get it. And to be fair, I have a bit of a kind of a way of memorizing the feather to begin with. Like, so it's like a dance move. You know, you move to the right, you move to the left, diagonal, and then flat. You know, so that's how I wrap my head around 1, 2, 3, 4, so that I can see lines to the right is the first acme. Lines to the left is the second acme. Diagonal lines is the third, and the horizontal ones are the fourth. So right away, you're automatically kind of honing in as to what ones could be. So I just felt that it made it a little more easier and less intimidating, because I think that's one of the things that people really struggle with Ogham being an alphabet, but with it, understanding it in that way, it's letters. And then, with runes, people struggle with runes again, because they're looking at this, letter, and they're like, what? And it's kind of getting it into the head, actually being able to memorize it. I think that's the biggest things on how they can actually form those connections to be able to be like, I've got this. And I want to be able to make it kind of accessible for everybody in that way, because it's something that, if I can break it down, and so that, even one person was like, I've smashed this, I've got it, then I've done a good job.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to know if there was any other type of maybe a symbolism to that. That's a great answer. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
One thing I did want to ask, do you think there's any if there is any misconceptions, what do you think is the biggest misconception people might think about this, especially maybe tarot readers? They get this stuff.
I think people think fundamentally it'll be hard to learn. I think I look at Ogham as a system as kind of like your grandparent. You're sitting on your granddad's knee and you're telling him, and he gives you that good advice. But that even though it's more like a disappointment than anything, if he's telling you off. So I kind of look at Ogham as that. I'm going to see me almost like my grandfather, and he's going to kind of, give me his wisdom, show me his way around. And I won't, I know I can, I've maybe not done something quite as well, but you can see the ways in what I need to do to be able to rectify that. So I think what puts people off, is the fact that they can't look at it as intuitively. If you see this, you don't intuitively know what them lines are. You can't just, it's not like, with tarot and you've got all the different, you've got different variations of tarot. You've got your Rider-Waite-Smith, and then you've got ones that really go, all of the different variations in between. And it's the same with Lenormands. You've got even directionality can be different with different decks. So when you're looking at as a system, I think fundamentally that's what it is. People at first, it's I think what kind of that they get put off by they have to learn the meanings, they have to work with it rather than relying on their intuition with that. So they've got to kind of work with that energy, but it does pay off if you put the effort in, as it does with any divination system. And I think even if you're reading intuitively, that's amazing. Read intuitively, fantastic. But there needs to be some kind of underpinning with that too, so that you can kind of apply, in case your intuition or whatever at whatever time is not working, then you need to be able to kind of revert with your meanings. You've got to understand what things are. I think one of the things with regards to Ogham is it's very kind of subjective. So asks you to look, it looks at the ins and outs, but you can look at things in an objective way, and it will tell you. I've read Ogham for others, and it's a different style of reading, and it's one that's quite profound. And actually, when I read Ogham, I actually read a death in Ogham. And it was something that really, it was profound. And with tarot, you have so many cards, 78, that you can look at and choose, but you're getting a story from 20, 25 max if you're incorporating the fourth feather. So like the Elder Futhark, but I don't use the blank rune on Elder Futhark. I'll take that out because it doesn't need to be a mystery, because everything, the mystery's in that bag. It's telling you the story. With regards to the blanks, I take those out in case I'll lose one and I need to write until I get another set. I think with tarot and people want to move to a system, I think fundamentally it's understanding it's not an oracle as such. It's a system, and you've got to learn it.
That's what I thought was interesting too. I was like, this isn't even an oracle deck. It's like something completely different.
It's wild. I mean, literally the depth in which you could go to with it, and the questions, it actually makes you look at yourself. It actually makes you question yourself, and there's not many systems that make you take ownership as such. That way, you know, where you're always actually looking and reflecting upon, you know, how you are within it. You know, what is it within your embodying? What are you trying to grow? What are you trying to, you know, understand? What ways are you prepared to go? You know, will you stand up, you know, even in the face of adversity, and still be true to who you are? And there's not many systems really kind of offer that in such a small, compact alphabet too.
What so you wrote the book for Wiser. What was your biggest reason why? What was the spark that came through you to do so? Writing a book's not easy.
It's not. It's not, and I think it's about 192 pages, so it's about 35,000 words. Could have written a dissertation for university for that. You know, it's my motivation for doing it was because I have a profound love for the wisdom that, you know, Ogham has as a system, and I wanted to kind of make it accessible but practical for people, so that more people could enjoy it, more people could find a love as well, and actually maybe people rediscover a love for it, and ultimately, you know, doing my own part within that to kind of honor that system and keep it you know, alive, make it relevant again.
Yeah.
Not that it's ever been irrelevant, but I think sometimes, you know, sometimes systems have their time, don't they, where that everybody kind of goes to. And I think, you know, Ogham's something that everybody needs to learn.
Yeah, nice.
Well, we do have a question in the chat. I think you mentioned it earlier. I just think that maybe they weren't here. Is Ogham older than Elder?
So Ogham, the first recorded incidents of Ogham was around 4th century. And there's recordings that with regards to Elder Futhark runes being between, I'd say, the 2nd to the 8th. So they say roughly about the 6th. Well, if you look at that, there's only a couple of 100 years, give or take, that way within it. So, you know, they are closely related in age. Odin brought the runes. Ogham brought Ogham, which is kind of wild as well when you think about that. You know, there's that's as far as kind of like the similarities go, apart from the mythology of it. You know, that it's, you know, for those that do Nordic studies and that, all of the tales and things, I mean, they're things that are kind of woven, aren't they? It's woven into the fabric of the stories of everything and what they carry with. And I think Ogham's definitely something like that too, in that, you know, you're not just understanding, you're understanding how things were as well. And seeing the difference, but how very much similar and the same that things still are as for us as people. It's just events around us that make things different, I think.
Yeah, nice. Hey, so Ireland, right? No, yeah. Where are you at?
I'm in Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland. I couldn't have guessed due to your accent. But so do you find yourself to be? Is there a large community of practitioners where you're at?
What I would say is, Ireland is a very spiritual place, but it's very Christian at the same time. But it does honor the Celtic ways. There's a lot of reverence that is not, people don't often practice as such. I think it's it's still very much taboo for that reason, for the Christian influences with it. What I will say is, though, you know, I've got neighbours and things who's actually got fairy mounds in their gardens. Yeah. Fairy mounds, like, you know, literal, you don't go onto them, you don't touch them unless you've got permission and things. And come up when the bluebells are coming up. I'll be able to go and see them. We've got, you know, we've also got this same gentleman, he's actually heard banshees. I mean, can you imagine it? I mean, this is kind of like, you know, you're talking about things that's like mythical, and actually having heard a banshee screaming as he was a young child, actually hiding under the bed with his sister because it was so loud and it actually scared the life out of him. And it's a noise that you'll never, ever forget. And a neighbour passing away in the next house. So these things are very, 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 very real. So people believe in the folklore, they believe in fairies, they believe in leprechauns, they believe in all of that kind of thing. They believe in the banshees are very, very real and they're very ingrained within. But they also have that heavy Christian reverence, which kind of dissuades from divination, unless they're going down routes of looking at, you know, the Morrigan and different things like that, like paganism. But yeah, people genuinely stay on the Christian side, and it's kind of hush hush. But my dad's like that. My dad's like, oh, you do all that oogie boogie kind of stuff, and I'm like, yeah, you know, what else do you say? It's like, it's just how people view.
Yeah, that's hilarious. So my question I like to ask all Irish people, almost all Irish people, is do you and have you seen the 6 foot tall puka, the 6 foot tall rabbit?
I haven't. I'm not actually. I live in Ireland, but I'm not Irish. I'm actually
Okay.
English. Although my accent is people would say I'm Scottish, but yes, I'm English,
Oh,
Northern
well,
English. I've just been living in Ireland for.
okay, nice. Well, I apologize. I'm American and I don't know accents very well, besides
That's all
Norwegian.
right. I just didn't want to. In case anybody from Ireland was watching, I didn't want to be like, yes, I'm Irish and I've got this really English accent that anybody on this hemisphere would on right away.
That's hilarious. Okay, nice. I showed my ignorance. That's good.
Sorry.
I can't guess at all.
Okay, good. So you haven't seen the puka. I've heard about the puka where like when you're in, I think it's one of those things, once you get out of the bars at like 2 or 3 o'clock at night and you walk home, a lot of the time there's this 6 foot tall rabbit that just pops out and is this jester like trickster character. And I heard this actually from Robert Anton Wilson, who lived in Ireland for a long time, and he's an American writer, a psychedelic / occultist from back in the day. And I just always found it to be interesting because of the different symbolic narratives of that unconscious jester-like character, the rabbit being that fertility, and yet when you're in an altered state of consciousness late at night, around that 3 o'clock witching hour, you can stumble upon these fae-like creatures in places like Ireland.
Well, I've seen a lot of spirit. There's a lot of spirit. I think there's one thing. I mean, yeah, you could technically say that about any land, or what I'm going to say, but the land of Ireland, you can literally feel its energy underneath your feet. You can feel the spirit. But yeah, actually, you know, you see it. You see them. You see the faces of spirit forming in trees and everything like that. That, you know, it's very, very. It's a place that's really different from any other I've ever been in. To be fair with you, it's got an energy of itself that's so beautiful. And the puka, I haven't seen a puka, but I also know that the puka kind of like can challenge you to be mischievous and challenge you to kind of make you act in ways that aren't aligned with you. So you have to be kind of strong in character. Probably would make sense as to why he's been seen coming out of a bar stumbling about drunk, because you're actually not in control of yourself, are you? And at that point, you know, the puka's got a hold of you, which kind of like links in with like the Romans used to put amethysts in the drink, like on the goblets when they drank, because it was the crystal of sobriety. So, you know, they wouldn't be having any dubious behavior by getting too drunk if they had the crystal amethyst cup. So you could see the ways in which things bring in with that. But puka, yeah, I think it's more something that he has more control if you've not got control of yourself.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, nice.
One thing I did want to ask you, I know you're into sigil work, correct?
I'm into what?
Into sigils?
Yes.
Were you into sigils prior to getting into this? Like, did you have anything with that, and then you kind of found your passion with this one?
I was seeing like those kind of things before, sigils and symbols, and like looking at what they were meaning and that. And I mean, I'm obsessed with patterns. So I see patterns in everything, and I look at cycles. It's like, you know, that's kind of my chill. I just look at understanding or you know, seeing, allowing things to come, to see the ways in which things piece together, but looking at it like more, you know, around with regards to that came before. Is my mediumship actually came before anything divination. Divination came later with that, I started working with it and started like, working with how it felt within me. And like I said earlier, with the regards to the runes, and I remember it being summer, and I was really warm. So I started carving like Isa onto my forehead and just chanting it. But I could feel my breath getting colder as I was saying it, because I was just dying. And I was too warm and just needed to cool down. And I found that I was able to actually like feel cooler by actually invoking that. So that's how I kind of got into harnessing the energies of runes. Same with Sewillow. When I've been really cold and my hands have been freezing, I'll carve it on my hand, Sewillow, and I'll blow it, channel it, my hands will start warming up. So it's kind of like I used them, but kind of like not for anything else, but kind of just to help me, keep me warm or cool me down or, help me with things. So that was kind of where my journey with it all kind of started. And then at that point, after I started working with myself with that was when I kind of transitioned and moved on to others. And I think that that's really something that everybody should do. You need to get used to you and how you're handling or how things are working within you. Otherwise it's kind of like chaos magic, isn't it? Because you're putting stuff out there that you've really got no kind of, you're not working with that energy as such. It's working through you. So I kind of, that was my first start. And then I started moving into the systems and kind of like learning and understanding more from the meanings of them and actually listening to them and having conversations. But it was definitely the sigils and kind of symbolism started presenting a lot earlier before anything else, because I was seeing like patterns and numbers and things, and I'd look at walls and there'd be like, moss in certain patterns and stuff, and they just stand out differently. So it was kind of like really presenting in ways that was like, what the hell is this? But at the same time, it's like, ooh, what is it though? But at that same time as well, if something didn't felt good, then I usually say if you get that kind of butterflies in your stomach, it's common sense leaving your body. Most people get that when they meet somebody new and they get all excited about it. And it's like, no, that's your common sense leaving. So I kind of tried to put that same kind of thing forward when I was like, is it when you've got that ooh, because everybody has that excitement about magic and doing everything, yeah, ooh, but is that common sense leaving your body? Is that actually how you're really feeling within that? Let it sit, let it feel, let it work through you, understand it before you try and move it into realms of others. See how it works with you. It's I would call that hygiene with regards to divination more than anything else, and spirituality.
I like that hygiene, divination. I was going to ask you something else. I totally forgot now. Damn.
Sorry, I've prattled on for the past hour, and I've been like a million miles an hour.
Yeah, you're totally fine.
No, I have a question. Did I read it right on your website or something like that? You're part of some global divination thing?
Yeah, so divination, it's got like we live courses, we teach, we do conferences as well, and we invite speakers from all across the world. And it's something that actually brings people who love divination together. But it's we have system-specific groups, and we have on Facebook, but we've got system-specific courses. So if there's a divination course that you want to learn, we have that course up. But as well as that, it goes into into like traditional meanings and things like that with regards to some of the systems. But we really try and hone down a kind of we do endorsements for people to get to like professional reader status, and we actually hold ourselves to really high standards in that way, because you're teaching people what they want to know, they want to learn, and they're wanting to know that they can read this system and stuff. So we have so many courses from so many amazing teachers. There's so many. If there's anything you can think of, it's been taught literally of a way of looking at the system as well. One of the things that I actually really enjoyed doing was I actually combined runes and Ogham together as kind of like a psychological kind of aspect of looking at runes as an external and Ogham as an internal, and then you actually looking at when utilizing castings and seeing like the influences and the ways that things actually merge. But there's many kind of ways in which there's different systems actually taught where we do mix them up and show the strengths and how they can. But a lot of the with regards to like Lenormand, tarot, the cartomantic systems, the card-based systems. We bring cartomantic techniques to it as well. So there is a whole, it's not just, grand tableaus and things. It's more than, just being able to look at a card and read it. It's about, being able to read it this way, that way, upside down, all the ways, any way you could think about, and then actually stringing them together to have a narrative. So you're learning your storytelling as well, because I think the art of reading is the art of, storytelling. And you've got a very, privileged place in life if you're a reader for anyone, because you're reading the story of somebody's life. And first and foremost, they're trusting you with their lives and their story. So how you read it, is imperative.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. What so when did your book get published?
So this is actually Ogham, Divining in the Celtic Ways, actually released on April 17th in the UK, but I believe it's a month before in the US, but it is available to pre-order now from all bookstores.
Nice.
If you want, I can pull you a card to round off. Oh.
Yeah.
Let's
I was
see.
going to ask you, what does your practices kind of consist of today? When you use those
My
cards?
practice today, what I do, like,
Yeah.
in what way could you explain so I can answer it?
How do you use those cards in your daily life today, like for yourself?
So what I'll do is usually I'll sit and I'll pull one card as to like, what am I kind of needing to know today, or how am I what am I needing to be? I'll pull multiple cards sometimes when I'm looking for a more in depth about something. It just very much depends on how I'm feeling at that time. But usually because I don't want to dwell too much on different things, so I'll pull out maybe 1 rune or 3 runes, and I'll pull out 3 Ogham. I maybe even pull out 3 tarot, and it's amazing how they actually all kind of tell the same story, just in a different way. And I think I like to do that because I like blowing my own mind with that and seeing like how incredible divination is. It's magic, isn't it?
That's cool. Nice.
So
All right,
yeah.
All right. This is fun.
So today, Durr, and Durr's in the second acme, and it's pertains to the oak tree. But Durr is all about having, being able to kind of look at things, the truth of how things are, and actually being able to see it objectively, and actually have the courage to stand on the truth of your convictions. And even if people aren't agreeing with what you want today, you can have the courage to actually stand there and speak your truth. Now, for me, it's Sunday evening now. So if somebody was to be inviting me to go, are you there or everywhere? I'll be like, I'm not, because of this. I don't believe that this is so because of this. So today I would suggest that with there, there could be things that's actually testing you, maybe testing your thoughts or your processes with things. And you really need to be able to say, no, this isn't for me. I'm doing this, or this is for me, and this is why it is. So actually look for your motivations and when you need to actually own yourself. Sunday, I can't imagine much being done, but that could be literally having a massive workload and trying to sort your schedule out and being like, oh shit, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that's funny. That's good. Do you pull, like, what's the spread look like? Do you usually just pull one card, or is there, depending upon the client? And
when I'm actually reading for people, I'll do casts. I love doing casting because I think casting is when everything comes alive. It's when it really speaks, because it's that either just let the chips fall as they may, and it'll tell me the story of what is. What I love about Ogham and casting with Ogham, it actually takes you around in a spiral, and I have done these with card placements as well. So this is where the fourth header comes in, and you've got your placements, you've got the areas you're kind of at peace at, and then what you're still going to be learning, where you're getting resistance, and then what's going to be the ultimate outcome. So it kind of moves centrally as you, the matter at hand, and then moves around in that spiral because everything is circular. And I kind of, in looking at that as well, people go, oh, conflict, or what am I coming up against? And it's like, but you need resistance in life. Think about your car with its tyres on the road. If you didn't have resistance, you wouldn't be moving anywhere. You've got to have that. You've got to come up against some things to actually get you going. Sometimes the resistance is within yourself more than anything else. You resisting you, so you do need that element. That's like a 5-card spread. Then 9 actually goes around in another circle again. But when you're looking at it, it actually forms a cross, which is, I would suggest, one of the earliest forms of the Celtic cross, actually, that is now utilised in tarot.
Wow. Yeah, nice. That's a good connection.
It's wild. The things you can do with it is like really interesting. You know, I can't scream it from the rooftops enough.
Yeah. So is it only like you have those cards? Is there rune stones as well, or am I mixing up different practices?
No, you can actually get. I'll see if I've got some in my drawer. Actually, I might have some in. You can actually get. I've got bags with different stuff in. And I'm like, where? Maybe I can't find them. It's in one of my drawers somewhere, and I was stuck with all stuff. I've got Ogham fuse, custom fuse. So like the Elder Fuse that which you keep by me.
Right.
You got your runes.
Yeah.
Ogham's just the same. It's just the lines are going across on diagonal, so you can actually buy casting
that's
as
cool.
well. And that's like when you cast it. But I've also got in the book, I've wrote like, you know, how to make your own casting sets, out to make your own Ogham, you know, so you can actually, if you really wanted to go down it, you could be looking at like if there was a specific tree, for example, you know, you could be utilising that if it was your birth month, or you could be looking at different ways. I've also wrote in the book how to utilise it for the like manifestation, so you can actually, you know, use the kind of in the ways that you make bind runes with the Elder Fuse. I can actually write your manifestation out and actually use that as a manifestation tool. So there's a lot of different elements in the book that's not just with regards to the cards and placements, but it actually moves beyond that and more into the metaphysical with it too.
Well, nice. How long, if you mind me asking, how long did you spend on writing the book?
So the book itself, it's taken 2 years from writing to publish.
Wow, so that's actually pretty good. I think you did great, especially for how long the book is.
I think what I kind of, with me, if I kind of feel like, and I can't, then I don't force it. So there were some days where I was just like, oh, shit, no, I ain't got creativity in me today. How am I going to make this? I can hardly string a sentence, never mind write one. So it kind of, I'd get myself in a funk, or have different things. And then some days I'd feel like, you know what, I'm going to do this today. I'm writing now with many pages, and I would just go for it. So I didn't fight that flow either, because I believe all that's kind of important. You have got to work with it. So yeah, when I've read back, I've been like, wow, you know, it was a journey in itself.
Yeah. Have you written before?
I have. I've written sigils, a tool for manifestation and empowerment. That was released by Red Feather Publishing in 2023. So I'm very, very, very fortunate that I've actually got 2 decks been published by 2 different publishing houses, and I'm, like I say, I'm incredibly grateful for that. I'm blessed. I know how lucky I've been with that one, and I'm chuffed, as we would say in the UK.
Yeah. Do you do a lot of traveling, doing expos and different events and things like that?
I don't. I actually don't, which is really wild. I'd love to do something like that. So if anybody wants to invite me over somewhere and fly us over, hey, I'm there. Like, you want me? You can to let us know. But yes,
good.
Over there, I'm just usually spend my time in Northern Ireland, do everything virtually.
Nice. Yeah, that's the beautiful thing about the world today. As much as technology is got its double-edged sword, the beautiful thing is we can do things like this and get you on here and spread the message of this great work.
It's been an honor, and I'm just sorry that nobody's been able to get a word in edgeways.
I'm out of my depth with this topic anyway. I have you here presenting it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know anything, which is why I wanted to hear about it.
Yeah. It's honestly, it's incredible. I know I'd watched something with yourself on saying about magic, and you were reading all these different books, and all the books were saying different things, and it's like kind of hones in. You know, it's really important to kind of, it's what it feels within you. You know, what do you feel it as? Because you're going to be the one that's working with it. And when you're doing like magic and you have like all the, the color associations, the planetary associations, I mean, you can literally like focus like a laser pinpoint on exact times to get different things and stuff. But all of those things, they're just like, they're little ways to kind of enhance. But if you're actually confident in yourself, you've got that openness within your heart and you're actually working with that energy in the right way. And for you with that as well, they're just like little sprinkles on top of a cake, little sparklers setting off. But you've got all the ingredients within yourself to be able to do whatever it is that you need.
I'll agree. Thank you.
Keep building stuff, manifest everything, magnificence. Everybody, I honestly believe everybody manifest your own magnificence in life, whatever that should be.
Oh, I think we can. Sure.
Yeah, and that's a great message for this world we live in. I think you bring a really nice energy to the whole space, actually, Jane. That's really, I do enjoy that.
Well, thank you very much. I'm just me. I can't be anything else but me. I wouldn't want to be anything else but me. Many people probably won't want me being me, but that's all right. I'm all right with that.
You like it though, right? You're cool.
I like me. I'm all right.
That's all that matters.
I'm 46 now. Any kind of thoughts about all that's kind of gone out of the window. I'm like, yeah.
I must go with that age because I've gotten the same way. It's like at this point, it's like whatever you think about me is your business. As long as I'm happy with who I am, I'm doing that's cool. Yeah. I love it. Was there anything else anybody wanted to ask or talk about? Yeah, because I'm kind of out of questions. Was there anything else that you would like to say about the deck or anything about this to leave people with before we wrap it up, Jane?
I would if you're drawn to Ogham, really allow yourself time to actually learn it, look within, actually work with it, pull your fuse, understand what they mean, and you'll never look at life in the same way again. You'll never look at yourself in the same way again, and you'll catch yourself at moments when necessarily you wouldn't have done beforehand. It is something that once you actually go upon that path within that, and you actually open yourself up to the insights that it can bring, it creates profound change within yourself. Because you're seeing the dark and the light within you, and from that you're able to really, move forward in ways in which you want in life instead of getting caught in those cycles that most of us get caught in.
Nice, I like that. That was more or less why I got into the occult and practicing, is to get out of the bullshit cycle.
It is. When you think everything is, isn't it? It's like a washing machine. Life's like a washing machine. It's just never-ending washings. It just depends what goes in. Sometimes it comes out and there's a mix of colours, and you've got black all over your pink. Your whites have come out purple or something. That's just life, isn't it? That's the way it comes. Sometimes we do things in life and it messes up, and that's just it. But it's how we move on through that, isn't it? Really.
I like the white t-shirt. I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, thank you very much, Jane. I really appreciated you coming on. Again, you're a plethora of information on a topic I knew nothing about. You definitely see you're very passionate about it, and I really liked it. Before we wrap it up, let me have everybody on the show again. Please plug their stuff. Judith, what is going on? Please.
Yes. Hi, Jane. This was very informative. It was perfect timing, being in bulk. So I'm very grateful, and I know a lot of my friends will be interested in this information that you put out there, and I'll be looking for your books release. You could find me at the Loon at YouTube, on X, and on X and YouTube. I'm sorry, and again, thank you, Occult Rejects, for having me on.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Hey, my man Brandon, what's going on?
Hey, yo, yeah, what a beautiful time. Thank you, Jane, for elucidating us upon things that I know nothing about, but that was fantastic. I'll definitely be looking for your book, and I'll be telling people about it, because I do come across people who want to know more about these things, and I have no idea who one of the masters is, and Jane, you do sound like that, so that's great. Thank you. Yeah, everyone, head over to Magus in the Media. Do all the things. Check out all the stuff. It's a continual process of trying to elucidate deep topics through all of the literature and anime and comic books, and the world is strange and only getting stranger. And with Magus in the Media and the Loon and the Rejects and all the things that are going on, we're here to try to organize that chess game that's going on. Yeah, go to my Instagram, go to my X, go to my YouTube. We're doing it. We're doing it deep. Tonight, Ike Baker.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jane, you should definitely, I know you're going to be sleeping, but check it out tomorrow. Ike Baker's a brilliant man as well. What's going on tonight? And I'm excited for that. Thank you, Nick, as always.
Of course. Oh, thank you. I very much appreciate you always coming on.
Of course.
And Jane, please let everybody know about the website or whatever you want to plug, your books and everything, your decks.
So Ogham Divining in the Celtic Ways, released by Wiser Books, and it'll available for pre-order now everywhere, I think. Thank you very much. It's been amazing. Thank you very much for the opportunity of speaking with you and the actual honor for that. I consider myself very lucky, and thank you very much for spending your Sunday with me.
No, thank you. I appreciate you making it work with the time difference. And like, again, this is something I did not know anything about. So the honor was mine. I am hoping that Wiser, I'm just going to be real. I am hoping that they will send me a copy of this. They have with everything else. When they do, I will try to get maybe some pictures up of the cards. I'll put them on social media, let people know exactly what it looks like.
Well, if you struggle, let me know, and I'll post you one from
the
UK.
Yeah, but I'm also very interested in. I really want to look at the books and the cards myself, for real. I want to see if these things say anything to me. Got me very interested on this stuff, so I appreciate it. And thank you again, Brandon and Judith. I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate everybody in the chat. We had some good questions. I tried to get to all of them. And thank you very much. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.